As an exercise in embracing imperfection, here's the next video. Now, I'm talking about what's happened in June in July because I did fall behind with creating the next of these videos, which is kind of something that I wanted to talk about. Like, consistency is something that I've been trying to work through at the moment. Figuring out, like, what is the minimal, what are the key things, what are the absolute key things that need to happen. So I'm just going to keep my coffee cup. I like my coffee cup in my hands. What are the key things that need to happen on a daily and a weekly and a monthly basis, and making sure that they happen, which is surprising that that's sort of the struggle. But beyond a few basic things, like identifying like what is the regular stuff that moves the needle, like that's been something I've been working on. And I think I talked about this in the last video. I haven't had a chance to go back and revisit, but daily study has been critical. Like, that's been a thing that makes a huge difference in terms of my mindset. Past that point, it's been trickier. Marketing is something I've been working on. Continues to be a theme throughout June. So doing follow-on work from League of List Builders, and also following on from the course and just working on a bunch of marketing assets. Now, I realized preparing for this video, it reaffirmed just how important doing this stuff is, because mentally, before I sat down and looked through all of this, June was kind of a blur. Like, what happened in June? Who knows? But I look back through and I see that June, while I might not have booked as much as I wanted to for June, a lot of work laying really important seeds. So planting crops to harvest later. There were some great meetings. I'm going to talk about the after effects of one of those when we get to June. But there were some great meetings. An old project got revitalized. Real proof of the fact that any creative endeavor is playing the long game. All the way back in, God, I want to say 2013. If I think back through, we've moved so many times renting that I can actually, like, a good rule of thumb as to like where I was at a point in time is where were we living, what was happening. And I think it was 2013 I last worked on a project called The Dark Horde, but the creators involved in that, one of the gentlemen in particular, has had just the roughest stretch of time since, in terms of the things that has happened in his life. A lot of personal stuff happening, but that's back up and running. It's back up and running, which I'm super excited about. And he was an absolute sweetheart about the whole thing. Just felt terrible about the delays. But I'm really excited to be coming back to that. At a point in time where I feel like my practice can actually bring more to the project now. Like, I know in 3-4 years time, I'm going to look back on where I am now and say, I'm going to be able to do so much more than I could then. I mean, on a monthly basis, that's what happens as a creative. I finally understand, and I think I've talked about this before, but I finally understand that treadmill that a lot of actors get on. Like, we all get on, where the work that is out there, and you talk about the work that is public facing, that people can know about, is something that you may have worked on 2-3 years ago. And the things that you've discovered, the things that you have worked on, the things that you have refined in your creative practice since, mean that while you love the experience of that project, you feel that it doesn't reflect the best of what you can do now. But when it comes out, you're still excited about it, and you still speak to it as a real testament to what you can do creatively. But it's tough. It's another part of what fuels, I think, like a perpetual creative dissatisfaction with where you are, or the work that's out there in the world that you've done. So yes, that's a real thing. But I'm super excited. I am super excited about that project getting back up off the ground. So June saw some sickness as well. I was sick for a little bit in there. I now have, where are we? I've now taken on as gospel for winter, for the stretch of winter where it gets cold. Gonna hit up the old multivitamins. Multivitamins are kind of they're an interesting thing for me. Like, I think that's mostly the placebo effect at work. I think the last time I looked at sort of hard studies or data around sort of whether like vitamin C and echinacea and stuff like that help, it doesn't seems to mostly be just placebo effect, but fuck it, I'll take placebo effect. Like, you know, if that works, it works. There was some family stuff that happened in June. My partner had her birthday. That was wonderful. She also spent a chunk of time doing rehearsals for her play, which performed in July, which we'll talk about in the next video. So it was good. It was good having the pendulum swing back in the other direction, especially as we're starting to get into the prep for Games Week. And Games Week is always just an onslaught, like leading up to and during. And there's some stuff happening about Locomo Jam I'm going to talk about in the future, which is swinging that pendulum even further back in my direction. The Xbox Green Carpet event for E3 is super exciting. Went along to that at like 5 o'clock in the morning. Next time I'm not going to trust when an event says that it is catered and asks for dietary requirements. I think I bust out it was like a $14 bag of popcorn because I was freaking starving by the point in time that it got to the movie. So next time I'm going to take my own food. I'm not going to trust when it says catered. The movie, by the way, was Dark Phoenix, which was a movie. Let's see what else. Tavern of Voices' first paid workout. I'm super proud of getting that off the ground. I'm really chuffed with the fact that I managed to transfer the momentum behind what's been happening with our workouts online. So the internal workouts that Tavern of Voices has been doing, to actually putting them public facing. We're using Zoom for the workouts. It's working really well. Our first workout, pretty much no technical hitches. I was really pleasantly surprised with that. Zoom made it completely painless, or mostly painless. Prep for the marathon. So last year, when I hit 100 followers on Twitch, I decided I was going to do something to celebrate hitting that milestone. And so what we did is we planned to do a Hitman 2 marathon stream, raising funds for the Movember Foundation. So there was a lot of prep, and sort of pushing awareness around that happened during the month of June. I'll talk more about that in July because that's the date when the actual marathon landed. But it was planting good seeds that I think brought a really good harvest there. I'm really happy with how that went. Given that it was largely just creating something from nothing as just a little bit of buzz around the Twitch channel. I've been really enjoying streaming as a creative outlet and a chance just to tinker with stuff. Like today, I found some awesome video transitions for like low res glitch stuff because I'm going to try and resurrect a video project that I was looking at doing last year, which is kind of original content. But the tools and the understanding that I have from doing streaming now means that I can go back around on doing that video, and I think I can make that series much better and much more quickly, because that time factor is a critical one. I've only just started getting back into decent practices around uploading recaps, like full recaps from Twitch streams up to YouTube, and that's not the best content overall because I always take pains to be very engaged with the Twitch chat, and so if you're not there as part of the Twitch chat, then you're getting content which is probably 40%, maybe 30% games, 70% my community. And so it's great for showcasing what the community's like. It's not so great if you just want to watch the game. So yeah, I'm super excited about that project getting off the ground as well. Let's see, what else? I went along to a film shoot for a friend's short film that I'll be able to talk about a little bit more in the future. Actually, no, my partner's performances did land in June because I remember it was part of a 3-act play festival, and one of the plays involved puppetry. Because the writer was a puppeteer, and I remember thinking the day after going, this is an interesting play. Laughing at myself for the fact I was effectively doing puppetry on set. But that was with Jess Hutchinson, who remains just an absolute gem of a person. I'm so glad that I maintained contact with her. So yeah, so there was that. A lot of planting of seeds. I think that's about it in terms of big things that happened in June. So the lessons that I take out of June are that I need to continue to work on consistency, trying to find a way to motivate myself to instill like regular daily habits. Can't figure out what to do with my coffee cup. I keep wanting to put it down, but then I'm like, no, I want to drink some coffee. So yeah, figuring out what my consistent daily habits are, and I'll talk about a couple of examples of that after this sip. So it's interesting because there are two things that came out of doing the peak performance formula last year that have just slotted straight in. One of them is starting the day with 5 minutes of exercise. So I religiously get out there and I skip every morning, like I do jump rope. And it's beautiful because if my head's filled with anything bad, and it's been a bit of a funny stretch with personal stuff, nothing huge, but just background static that gets in the way. It's a great way to just burn it out. Got a problem? Take it out there to the mat and just get it done. So I do, like, it's around 5 minutes because the song that I do that to every morning is the Cardigans, Losing My Favorite Game. And then while I'm getting breakfast, when I come back in, I listen to I Need Some Fine Wine. I think it's Fine Wine and I Need Some Fine Wine and You Need to Be Nicer is the full title of the song, 2 Cardigan songs. But that just slotted straight in. Benefit, obvious. Work, minimal in order to get it in place. And I feel bad if I don't do it most mornings. Although that being said, today I was just, because I'm doing solo parenting, I was straight into the day. And so I missed it this morning. But weather's been a little bit grey today as well. But yeah, I absolutely miss that when I don't get it. A tip from Warren Ellis's Orbital Operations newsletter from last year. Start the day, 8 almonds, 2 dates as soon as you get up, which is supposed to be around 30 grams of protein. And I've noticed that stops me from getting hangry. And it means that I get into the day in a more controlled fashion. I feel like my metabolism gets a kickstart from that as well. Like that's the benefit it's supposed to bring. Slot it in straight away. But there's a few things that are critical that I want to get more regular about. One of them being regular writing, because that continues to be the blocker on creating like my own projects, like get good at writing. How does one do that? One writes. And so just making sure that doesn't continue to get pushed to the too hard pile. Like that's a big part of things. So consistency, absolutely. Velocity to apply advice as well. Sissy Jones was tremendously gracious in giving me her time last year. We caught up before PAX, and she gave me some recommendations for people to get coaching from, and I've got to actually put that into practice. I mean, part of that's financial, absolutely, but part of it is also just actually shortening that time between advice given and advice taken. And I think part of it's something I've got to deal with, and I'm trying not to overcomplicate things here. But part of that is making sure that I actually process like my digital exhaust. And by that I mean like where I actually capture stuff, because there's a real danger that when I actually put stuff down in order to actually get it actioned, it just sits in something that doesn't get processed. I know that there is stuff in OmniFocus which I make use of, and I'm trying to get better at actually making, like, for years I've been trying to figure out like a good way to use that program, because it does require consistent effort. And I think there are really good ways to use it, but I've got to work on that. So it's processing OmniFocus, it's processing my email inbox, it's processing my capture list of actions, it's processing Evernote. Evernote's the big one. Like I have this feeling that like when I put stuff in Evernote, it's like, okay, then that's done, right? But it's taking that advice and actually putting it like in some sort of gestated form and then actioning it. So I really want to make sure that I can shorten down that gap, so improve that velocity there. So those are 2 big takeaways from June to work on. Other than that, interesting to see what happens with the seeds that I've planted. But yeah, I'm really glad I sat down to put together this video, because I feel a lot better about where my time went with June. Good seeds planted. Alrighty. See you in July in review.